Shaun here. It is time for the Revelstoke Mayor Report with Mayor Gary Sulz. Good morning, Gary.
Good morning, Shaun.
It's nice to have you in here. Did you go as a werewolf for Halloween?
No.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did you go as a Undertaker?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks.
You're welcome. So Gary, you got a couple of things on there. Did you want to touch base or did you want to have a chat first?
Well, we can have a chat.
Okay. So I was reading the article on the Mountaineer about the marijuana, the pot shops. I don't even know what they're called, cannabis stores. So I just thought we would have a kind of open discussion about it, a chit chat like we were in a coffee shop. So I was just curious. So this was a while back. We had, or the city, in council had kind of decided there would be a certain set back to where businesses could be and that kind of thing. And that was in relation to children and parks and that type of thing, correct?
Yep. So the distance between those areas set for marijuana stores or retail is 300 meters away from care facilities for children at schools, that sort of thing.
Okay. Now, some of the discussion I noticed online was concern about viability and businesses being able to sustain themselves. Now, I'm just curious, is it because it's this type of business, or like let's say that you and I wanted to start a clothing store, and then instead of the pot shop being down where the old printing store was, that, right, Shaun and Gary's clothing store, and we sell some Carhartt, some Levi's, some nicer high-end suits, and they're all kind of similar to Work and Play, and it's right, they're on the Tetra block. Would then I be denied that because I'm doing something in similar nature to Style Trend and to Work and Play and to Free Spirit?
No.
Or
No.
Okay,
as long as you meet the parameters as far as the zoning goes, you're good to go.
Okay.
If you want to start a business in whatever capacity, you can start a business and go from there, as long as it meets those zoning requirements. So part of the conversation has been because of the existing store and the other one proposed around the corner is within the 100-meter parameter that we, as previous council, had set in conjunction with engagement with the community to have the marijuana stores 100 meters apart. Council has the ability to vary that, and that's what's happened with one of the proponents. It's less than 100 meters from the other one. Council's varied that because of where it's at. They don't see each other. They're on different streets. It's seems to be a secure location. So that's kind of where we're at with those sorts of things. So, you've got a half a dozen restaurants or a half a dozen clothing stores on Mackenzie Avenue, all in the same part of the street, selling the same type of product. The question comes down to how viable are they going to be? And so they've all been successful. So you look at some of these other ones coming in, we can't legally say no to them if they're within the zoning parameters. They get their licensing, they get the approval, and they go forward. Whether they succeed or not will be if there's a customer base. So you look at the other side of the coin where we have alcohol. People have several different alcohol establishments, but also off sales and the liquor stores in the community, and it's up to them to decide, is it viable for us to try that? And if they do try it, they have to meet all the requirements. If they meet all the requirements and they can afford to go into business, there they are. They're in business.
Is there a setback for alcohol establishments as well, or was that?
There may be, but I'm not familiar with that at this point.
Okay. So the 100 meters was because this was all brand new when you guys were kind of making these preliminary decisions?
And we didn't know how it was going to roll out.
Sure.
The provincial government, the federal government didn't say, hey, this is how it's going to roll out. This is what it's going to do. So you kind of be proactive and jump on it ahead of time so that we have a little bit of control as to how things move forward.
Right. But there's some bend and wiggle room.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that seemed to be the discussion that was happening on social media and online between, hey, you want to run a business, have at her, and it's up to the best business to survive and that kind of thing, that concept behind it, which is whatever product you have, whatever your customer service is like, et cetera, et cetera. And being in close proximity may and or may not have a factor in that. And I was just curious if there was a setback to certain clothing stores, because clearly that couldn't have been the case.
No.
So just like if I wanted to run another funeral home, I could.
Yeah, as
arguably.
long as you're zoned for it,
Right.
then you can go
It's fair
at it,
game.
right? Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so that's where some of this, not that controversial, but some of the stirring has been coming from, I think,
Yeah.
or at least I felt like when I read that.
Yeah, I think that's the concern.
Okay,
Yeah.
that was it. I just thought we'd kind of shoot the breeze about that in a more lighthearted way. What do you got on your little
Well,
cheat
just
sheet
a
there?
couple things. So with our Development Services Department, they've got the OCP Visioning document out entitled Shaping Our Future. And we would like community members to give input on that. And we have up till the November 9th to give input. Then staff will look at that. They'll take 30 days or so to have a look before they give a report back to council and say, hey, this is what the community is saying we need to do going forward. So that's kind of where we're at with the OCP visioning at this point. I just want everyone to be aware when we start getting into the nuts and bolts of the OCP and doing the work and the engaging with the community, it's time consuming and it will take a while for us to get things done. 2 or 3 years, we'll do some neighborhood planning, zoning, pawning, all that sort of thing. But it's based on what the community members want. So we want to look at that. Also want to mention that this week I see the paving crews are out. We're actually seeing some of those potholes and things being fixed, and so that's great to see. Our planning or our bylaw enforcement department is dealing with issues on dogs. So they've got an education thing going out this week dealing with dogs, how to make sure they're on the right spot when you let them go, as far as being loose and where they should be leashed, that sort of thing. They will move into enforcement in the next week or two once they're finished letting everyone know, so that people understand where they can be and where they can't with leashed dogs. And then I just want to mention that tomorrow evening, Business Excellence Awards at the Community Center. So tickets, I believe, are still available at the Chamber.
Did you find it odd that people that have dogs that pick up after their dog with the bags then leave the bags on the ground or throw them in a tree?
Yeah.
Don't you find that to be like the weirdest thing ever? It is so weird in my head. Like, why would you even bother putting and like letting that mush in your hand? Why just leave it? Like, I don't get it. It's so confusing to me.
It's a frustration. We see it all the time. See it downtown. You're walking along and all of a sudden there's the bag and going like, what the heck? So pick it up, throw it away.
Yeah, it's weird. Okay, well, that was basically it. I thought we would touch base on that. And, oh, by the way, the paving thing is awesome. There was one person in particular, I won't say who, you can guess who it was, that was griping about why it's not done out front of his house. So I'll leave you with that, and I'll let you run with it, and I'm pretty sure you'll figure it out who it is.
All right.